There you go. "1966. This high school dropout built a worldwide empire. Who is it? Well, Richard Branson. This other guy built, helped grow Dropbox, Kissmetrics, LogMeIn, and founded Qualaroo. He coined the term growth hacking. Who is it? Sean Ellis. In 2008, he lost his job, and he started a blog. Now he's known as one of the thought leaders in the passive income game, as we can probably say. So, what do these people have in common? I mean, I'm sure we can say they're very smart people. They run businesses. They make lots of money. But if we actually strip it down to bare bones, it's that they build authority. It's this simple. And now I want to debunk a myth that says that authority means that you're the best in the world or the absolute best in the industry. It's a misconception. You can be an authority just by influencing people and leading in any type of niche. So for example, let's go back to Richard Branson. He's an authority in the business space, right? But is he really the best businessman in the world? Well, I doubt it, right? There are many others who have built amazingly successful companies who are also technically authoritative, but not as much as Richard Branson, as he's the one who's going in the face of the public. And just to go a bit further, let's read the definition of authority. The power to influence others, especially because of one's recognized knowledge about something. Nowhere it says that you have to be the best in the world. So keep that in mind. Because let's look at this. We have here like circles of authorities, the niches. So as my first example, Richard Branson leads one of the biggest, areas of business, so business. But if we niche down into business, we have like Paul Graham of Y Combinator, who you've heard of, and he's into startups and investing. Now, if we dive into startups, we have Sean Ellis, who I talked about, who's an authority in the digital marketing space. But wait, we can go even further. Let's go within the digital marketing space. You have Ren Fishkin, who's one of the leading figures in search engine optimization, how to get higher into Google and search engines. And then it's a never-ending drilling of niches. So you could be, for example, an expert and authority in search engine optimization for e-commerce. Search engine optimization for e-commerce, selling health products. So what does this mean exactly? Well, it means that you can build authority too. You can become a leader within your space. I mean, in practically any field you desire. So I'm Raphael, and I do digital marketing. I help companies grow through conversion rate optimization, which is improving websites through data analysis and testing. And I also create email marketing strategies to make companies grow and also make more money. And I really want to show you the quick hacks to building influence and recognition in pretty much any industry. So it all started when I was 11 years old. I was a magician. So yeah, that was me. I was probably 10, 11, 12, a long time ago, I remember it. And then, once again, 400 magic shows in my magician career, entertaining kids, doing festivals, going to daycares, and learning how to handle a crowd of hundreds of kids climbing the curtains, pulling in your shirt. Quite a difference from here. Then I started building my first tech startup, which is not very well known, but it was just a platform where you could connect with marketing consultants and they could give you advice on your marketing materials as a small business owner. It was passive income, but the problem is that it wasn't very scalable. So I decided to move on and launched Shop Halls, which was a marketplace where you could shop the sales from the world's best boutiques. And this is what really started getting me into the entrepreneurship space. I was invited to pitch at one of the biggest and best known accelerator in Canada. I was sitting in panels, giving TED Talks, and just starting to become the poster child of youth entrepreneurship in Atlantic Canada, where I'm from, so a large portion of Canada. And then I took the dive into Bitcoin. And for those who don't know what Bitcoin is, it's a cryptocurrency, so digital money, magic internet money, as somebody said. So with Bitcoin, I was very fascinated by the opportunities that are starting to show up with all the banks and the issues with the currencies and the corruption. And here's where things got really crazy. Because within 7 months, I went from knowing absolutely nothing about Bitcoin. But I mean, when I say absolutely nothing, I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought it was a scam. I thought it was, some people, some developers just writing in forums. But then, things started to change. I learned about it. I started organizing events and becoming known as the Bitcoin guy in my region of Atlantic Canada. Then I started getting further and then starting to really build my Bitcoin influence or authority in New York City as the world's finance capital. And I'm not very well known in the technical Bitcoin space. I'm very not technical in Bitcoin. It's an extremely complicated and technical thing. But I really aimed at educating entrepreneurs and businesses on how it would work and how Bitcoin could benefit their business. So I would do a few things in New York City, then got me invited to speak at one of the biggest Bitcoin conferences in the world in Las Vegas. And it followed by a really crazy opportunity to speak to the biggest banks in the Middle East, in Lebanon. And it followed by, I had talks with banks where they wanted to know how to use Bitcoin and integrate it inside their technologies. And I thought it was a bit crazy that it went from Atlantic Canada and my small town where it really started to just speaking about Bitcoin in Lebanon. And that's when I got recruited by Blockstream. As Gustavo told you, Blockstream is now one of the most important Bitcoin company in the world. Without the founders, I don't think Bitcoin would even exist. And I decided to join just to learn from these people what are known as the smartest people in the industry, and really see what they were doing to raise $21 million seed as their first round of funding. It was almost unheard of. So I went from magic, building authority in the magic space on a very small scale. I was the go-to guy you would call to in Atlantic Canada, in my province, of maybe 1 million people in surrounding areas, as the magician's birthday parties. Then, in that same region, I started becoming the entrepreneur. I would win contests and then go speak in schools and hopefully inspire others. And then it kind of just blew up with the Bitcoin space. So going from Bitcoin, what's that, to actually speaking in conferences, people ask me, well, how 7 months? It seems like a complicated topic. Obviously, I can say, well, it's hard work. But it's not just hard work. There are actually very specific principles that I applied. And it wasn't just by luck, because the concepts underlying authority are actually pretty simple. So here's how I did it. And first, I want to say that I believe there are 2 main ways to gain authority. And this is what I call my zones of authority. So on your right, you're becoming an authority by being the first in your space. So let's say you go into a really, really small niche and you become the first one, for example, Periscope. Some of you might have heard of, it's a social media app where you can live stream videos. Some people call themselves experts in Periscope from day 1. To this day, now they're the thought leaders, influencers, and the authorities for Periscope marketing. Then on the other side, you're getting known and building authority because you stood out. You're not the only one in your industry. You might be in digital marketing, but then you stood out because you did some very specific concepts that got you to go there. And then you have the middle zone, which is a bit sad, I find. It's that you're not alone in your space, but you're also not well known. You might have been working on a specific concept or topic for 15 years, 20 years, but you're just blending with the crowd. And whether we want it or not, that's where we all start. But then you have to pick a side. Just a word of caution, some industries will definitely be easier than others. Let's say you're in the medical fields, scientific fields. Obviously, you might need more research and more experience than something else like Periscope. So here are my first tips, the 3 tips that I applied to really growing my authority in the Bitcoin space. And number 1 is writing. So it seems a bit obvious, but writing, the problem here is that many people will try to build authority by spreading themselves too thin. So having a YouTube channel, a Periscope, going on Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and then writing, it just becomes where you don't really have a focus, and nobody will ever really find you. So writing has stood the test of time. It has existed for thousands and millions of years. So writing, you can pick any outlet you want, but I prefer writing because there are many things you can do with it. For example, number 1, I say you have to get your own blog. It can be a simple page, costs nothing, and then you start writing your thoughts. What do you think of your industry? And then maybe post once a month, be consistent, and build your list. This is actually a detail, but I think it's very important. Ask people to subscribe to your blog. Then you have followers, people that are loyal to you. And when you want to ask them questions, maybe like what topic to write them about, they will answer to you, and they'll be happy to read your things. Then your own blog is unlikely to actually do all the legwork. Because, if you start a blog, there are millions of blog posts published every single day. And you want to have a bit more presence. So you can syndicate your content, take what you wrote for your blog, and make different versions of it, post it on LinkedIn, on Medium, and then most importantly, you have to publish on other leading industry blogs and websites. So the way I do this is that you make a list of the top 5 blogs that your clients, your peers in industry read and subscribe to. And then, within a span of 3, 6, or 12 months, you make sure to get featured on every one of these blogs multiple times and repeat it. And then it looks the impression that you're absolutely everywhere. And then you get to actually leverage your traffic. They get hundreds of thousands of visitors, and then you get the results. Number 2, have dinners. This is something most people don't do, and I learned this from one of my best friend and mentor. And it's actually very simple, and I'll show it to you in 4 steps. Number 1, you pick a spot. Easy, eh? 2, you find a specific topic that you want to talk about with your guests. Number 3, you invite a maximum of 6 people. And here it's 6 people that doesn't compete with each other. People that are influencers in your industry, the ones that you're actually hesitating to email to invite them to your dinner, or lunch or breakfast. And then you have one of the guests invite 2 more. People that doesn't know each other, people that you don't know. And then you get a maximum of 8 people, otherwise conversation tends to break up. And there's always somebody that will not show up. So you want to get a group of at least 6 people, and that was one of my first ones. It was amazing. All these guys are running some of the most popular podcasts in the world on the marketing side. Another guy is running one of the biggest and most influential social media conference, Social Fresh, and so on and so on. So just you get to meet people and create these relationships you would never have thought possible. And when you surround yourself by influencers, many people have said it here, your authority kind of rubs off on you, and you get to leverage that power. I highly recommend reading my friend Jason Gaynard's book on this concept. He's done it all. He's the one who really popularized it, and it gives you step by step how to do it, what are the mistakes to avoid. And believe me, it really took my career to a whole new level. And the last one is a bit more complicated, but extremely worth it. You have to organize events. So the number 1, when I decided to go in New York, I didn't know. I was like, okay, I haven't been in New York for 6 years. I just kind of learned about Bitcoin. I'm not really sure what to do with it. We booked a restaurant, 30 seat, we had breakfast, and we invited people. Sold out within 24 hours, organized it within 48 hours. We had some of the biggest VCs and angel investors in the whole city. We had some of the top minds in Bitcoin, celebrity coaches, and all came to really learn about Bitcoin, how it could influence their companies, and ultimately, even to this day, people are emailing me about that specific event. I did the same thing in my hometown, flew speakers, and then that's how I became the Bitcoin kid in my community and in other places around the world. Just to give you another example, Jason Keith, who you also saw in the other picture, was a social media consultant. He organized Social Fresh, one of the most important social media conferences today, and now chilling and really rubbing off the authority from the other speakers and experts. He's now known and quoted by Times, New York Times, and all the big magazines and publications you could ever think of. He's now known as an amazing expert, and everybody wants to talk to him on that subject because he organized the event. So, you bring people together. You get to be influencers, and then people see you as an expert. Don't try to do everything. Select your strategies, and within record time, it's actually crazy how far you can go. You select from the small niche instead of the big niche, and then you scale up, and then you get to the business niche, or whatever your niche is. From writing, you bring to the dinners to the events to the speaking, and the speaking will bring you to more speaking gigs, where you can start charging more, and then where you can, get featured by big press and all the other things you would ever want to achieve. Your authority goes up, and now it's your turn to pick your niche and get authoritative in your field. Thank you. Yeah.